Jason Swain, touchdown.
It's time for the Swain Event with your host, Jason Swain.
My man.
Real sports talk for the real sports fan.
All you chumps are gonna bow when I whoop him.
It's time for the Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
Give me 2 pounds and a Ric Flair.
Swain Event, SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End Barbecue. It is Thursday. They say it's the best day of the week. Ben McKee, Go Ball 247. I'm live here in the Low Tennessee studio. It is Florida week. We are. Ben McKee, what's up, man?
What's up?
How you feeling about the game?
Feeling better after the Yankees could squeak out a win last night, giving me a nice confidence boost heading into the weekend, although that could quickly diminish if they can't wrap it up and put a bow on this series tonight. But Tennessee Basketball Media Day later this afternoon. A lot going on in addition to a significant football game on Saturday night. Big recruiting weekend for obviously the football team. Its first true recruiting weekend in season of the year because of the way the schedule just set up in a funky manner this year, plus having to not host recruits for at least a game or two this year because of the Jeremy Pruitt stuff. So Tennessee looking to take advantage, full advantage of having an actual recruiting weekend, and comes at a significant time because several of their commitments have been visiting elsewhere the last couple of weeks. So it'll be big to get a lot of those commitments back into town and experience Checker Neyland at night. Will also be a very, very big recruiting weekend for the baseball team and the basketball team as well. So I will certainly have plenty of coverage of what's going on with those two programs in addition to all of our football content at GoVols247.com. So I'm excited for the weekend. Going to be a fun game. Going to be a great day of college football. A lot of big-time matchups, but certainly interested to see how Tennessee bounces back because I do feel like there's a lot of pressure on Tennessee in this football game.
Oh, a ton of pressure. All the pressure's on Tennessee. There's always pressure on both teams because you put the work in, and there's always the fear of losing, right? I'm not saying that you're scared, but I'm not a big fan of the whole saying, you got nothing to lose. Yeah, you do. You got the game to lose. So both teams have the game to lose, but the pressure is definitely on Tennessee. Tennessee 2 weeks ago was thought of being a college football playoff team. And right now, that's in question. It's all about how you bounce back, and this game will determine a lot of that. The injury report came out. The availability report came out yesterday. And I looked at it and kind of was scratching my head. The reason why is because there were several players listed on the report that didn't finish, but listed as probable. Dante Thornton Jr. finished the game, made a big play in the game, and he's listed as questionable. Now,
Bryson Easton wasn't even on the injury report, availability report.
Bryson Easton. I mean, I stood there and watched him. I mean, when a guy gets hurt, I'm not able to really see what's going on because I'm at the tent, and so I have to watch the game on the jumbotron. So when he got hurt, I spent a large amount of time at the tent waiting on a report because they were getting a knee brace on him. And when he left the tent, he was trying to run, and he he just couldn't go. And for him to be not even listed on this availability report, it's pretty surprising.
I think it was more of a scare than anything. Thankfully, he seems to be okay. Not that he's going to have to manage whatever he's got going on. I don't think he's like 100% healthy or anything along those lines, but healthy enough to play. It appears.
Yeah, I mean he's senior, man. He's from Tennessee,
which is a surprise because
game.
It looked nasty when he went down.
Yeah, I mean he's a senior. It's Florida week. He's probably saying I'm not missing this game, which I totally get. But the fact that Dante Thornton is listed as questionable, that's surprising. And then Squirrel White listed as probable when we're talking an AC joint. I mean, that's surprising. I've had one of those, and Squirrel is not the biggest guy. One fall could be different. Brew, that's something that's probably he's gonna have to deal with for the season. What's going on with his hand, but this is the time of the season where you're gonna play hurt. It's part of it. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's sore. You got to play through it. And if you can't play through it, then you don't play. But football is a contact sport. I mean, it just is. And so you're not going to be 100% healthy. You're not going to feel like it all the time. But you made a decision to play football when you were young. Or you're making a decision to play football now. And so you're going to have to battle through a lot of injuries, a lot of soreness, and a lot of pain. And that's just the way it is.
I'd like to expand on the receiver talk, if you don't mind, if we don't have anything immediate that we need to go to on the phone or anything. Where are you at with the receivers going into this game? I don't know that I should even ask it like that. You and I both would like to see more of Alexa just started playing Justin Bieber upstairs in my home, so that's nice. We both would like to see Mike Matthews more in this football game. And with Squirrel, I think it's even more imperative that you roll a little more in Nimrod and Matthews' direction. You and I were texting last night, and like with the AC joint shoulder issue, like he's already a shorter guy reaching for passes above his head or maybe even at eye level, maybe should be a difficult task for Squirrel. So I don't know, even if Squirrel is truly probable, like how could you trust him in certain scenarios within the football game? But the nuance that I wanted to add to that conversation, Swain, with I guess we can say the slot position, is that Florida's defense is very young and it has been a struggle for the majority of the season. Really, the UCF game is the only game that the Florida defense has not struggled. But there are two bright spots, particularly in the secondary. They have Jason Marshall Jr. at corner, who forewent the NFL draft last offseason to return for his senior year. He's a preseason All-SEC guy, I believe a former 5-star. So there's talent there with Jason Marshall. But then in the slot at the star position, Florida has actually been very productive at the spot that will theoretically be defending and guarding Squirrel, Nimrod, Mike Matthews, this ongoing receiver conversation that we are having with Sharif Denson and Aaron Gates, both second-year players, and they've had to split time this year. Denson was the starter and was banged up a little earlier in the year, so Gates had to come in kind of that Mississippi State time frame and fill in, and both have been very productive. So I don't know that I'm necessarily asking you anything, but just wanted to add context of, like, to me, that's a concern going into this football game. Like there was already concern with the receiver position and me not thinking that they're playing up to their potential and capability. And now who's ever on the outside going to have to deal with Jason Marshall Jr. and whoever is in the slot, the young guy, Mike Matthews, Nimrod, Squirrel. I mean, they're going to have to deal with two pairs of Gators who have been playing well in the star and the nickel position there.
I mean, Kelsey Pope said it last time we talked to the media, is that the receiver group has some room to grow room to improve, needs to improve, and so you can't list out all these names and talk about the depth of the wide receiver group and then get all freaked out about two guys getting hurt. And it's not like they're hurt for the season. If you have the depth that you talked about and the fan base has talked about, you should be able to roll in the next two guys to contribute. And Chaz Nimrod's been in the program multiple years. Mike Matthews is a 5-star player, and your job as a coaching staff, if you're recruiting these 5-star players, your job is to get them ready so they can play in the middle of October. It's as simple as that. Now, you do have players who are not smart. And I'm not saying Mike Matthews is not smart. I don't know if him getting the playbook down is an issue or not. But I'm just letting you know that could be a reason why guys don't play early, or they've been hurt early, and so that kind of hampered their development. Mike Matthews is not doing AP chemistry out there. It ain't that hard to play wide receiver as a freshman if you got the skill set, and Mike Matthews certainly has it. So hopefully we see those guys. You know, Caleb Webb, we haven't seen him. We heard about this rotation being a little bit more active this season, and you have seen Thornton and Brazel switch in and out, but yeah, you haven't seen a lot of that depth that we've talked about during the preseason. And this is the game to do it with Squirrel White coming off that getting hurt. I won't call it an injury, but getting hurt during Arkansas game. How's that affect his punt return duties? Because it's hard for me to believe he's going to do everything that he's normally been doing with the shoulder, with the AC joint. But he may. I mean, Toradol's a hell of a drug. Rick James said, cocaine, hell of a drug. I'm saying Toradol's a hell of a drug. And so it's the strongest painkiller a human can take. You never know how someone responds to medicine. So let me get to the phones right quick, Ben, because we had somebody waiting for a while there. Good morning.
Swain, Ben, good morning, guys.
What's up, Jay?
What's up, man? Swain, I was watching this one. It's like this YouTube channel called Blue Chip Breakdown. I just kind of ran across it, and this guy, he breaks down film and stuff. And I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched about half of it. And there were about 4 or 5 chunk plays that probably would have been touchdowns or huge passing plays that was just, Tennessee receivers were wide open. I mean, I got the screenshots because I showed my buddy it. They were wide open. And we couldn't get him the ball, or Nico had to take off running because he was about to get his head taken off.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people were complaining about maybe the play calling or Josh Heupel's not being aggressive enough. And I'm sure there's some play calls he'd want back. I mean, no doubt about it. But,
100%.
there was some guys also that were open that would have been huge that, if Nico could have just planted his feet and thrown the ball, they could have been touchdowns with those receivers being open. And I just think, Swain, at the end of the day, we got problems, but none of it really matters if we don't get this offensive line fixed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy for someone to sit on their couch and drum up screenshots and go, "Oh, look, he was open." Okay. Be the quarterback who's running for his life majority of the game, and tell me that you'll be able to just hit wide open receivers down the football field like that. Now, Nico does always look to throw the ball when scrambling. He did that in NC State game to Miles Kittelman, but it was called back. He did it Saturday night against Arkansas and hit Dante Thornton. So, he wants to throw the football and he wants to break the pocket and throw the football, look downfield. But you're right, Jay. He needs better protection from the offensive line, from the running backs. He needs better protection.
Well, that's the thing. He couldn't. Yeah, he couldn't even get the ball off. he never had a chance to even get those guys the ball because the way the offensive line was playing. But I guess we'll see what happens this Saturday. What they do. I mean, if the offensive line specifically comes out and lays an egg this Saturday, I hate to say it, but you're kind of going to have to accept that that's what they are. And I don't know what that means. Swain, I know you're in an interesting position being the sideline guy, but we weren't good last year at the offensive line. We don't seem to be good this year. We'll see what happens if in the Florida game. And then you look at who you're losing on the offensive line and what you would have to do in the transfer portal just to try to field a decent offensive line next year. It just, to me, Josh Heupel's got to, I know Glenn Ellerby's his boy, and I know he called him indispensable to the operation, which worries me. I'm starting to have flashbacks of Jeremy Pruitt and Will Friend. But, if this continues, to me, some hard questions need to be asked if I was Josh Heupel. But I'm going to get off here, boys. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. You shouldn't be in this position at offensive line in year 4 with fifth and sixth year seniors. There's really no sugarcoating it there. And that's unfortunate because you don't often get a talent like Nico. Like, y'all can listen to these folks who are questioning the abilities of Nico if you want to. And they can have their opinion. They're definitely, it's their right to have their opinion. But Nicos don't grow on trees. What Nico can do, not everybody can do. That's why he's the number 1 player in the country on 3. And they ain't wrong. Their rating is not wrong. We've seen Harrison Bailey be ranked as a 5-star. And there's only one publication that had him as a 5-star. Nico's highly rated by everybody, and they not wrong. What NFL scouts say about Nico lines up with the recruiting rankings. So, but does it matter if you can't protect him? And you couldn't protect him in the Iowa game. Had the whole offseason. And you're not protecting him right now. So I know one thing, Arkansas had some protection issues leading up to the Tennessee game, which is why Tennessee was such a big favorite. No different than how you look at this game. Florida's biggest weakness is their offensive line. Tennessee's biggest strength is the defensive line, something that Chris Doran said to us yesterday on Josh and Swain. Chris Doran, SEC Network, former Gator receiver, Gator great, came on. He lives in Gainesville, so he told us that's the matchup right there for Tennessee. But like you saw in the Arkansas game, they still were able to make plays down the football field. They were still able to get yardage versus a really good defense. So you can't say it can't be done. You just have to figure out a way to do it. You have to do it. You have to figure it out. But Jay didn't say anything that I can disagree with, even if I wanted to. 865-255-03. Ben, did he say anything that you want to disagree with? You like to argue. You're a troublemaker. You're a contrarian. Don't you want to disagree with Jay? Go ahead. Disagree with him.
Nope. Nothing to disagree with.
Come on, man. Don't you want to disagree with Jay?
If anybody, I disagree with Chris Doran. I think the matchup in this football game is Tennessee's offensive line versus Florida's defensive line, especially with the way Arkansas's defensive tackles, Ball and Gregory, last week were able to take up gaps and help that 3-2-6 defense really stop the run. And this is the same Florida defensive line that did that to Tennessee in Gainesville last week with Cam Jackson, the the Memphis transfer. He's back after dominating the interior of Tennessee's O-line last year in the swamp and really setting the tone for that game. To me, that's the matchup. So if anything, I'm Team Jay and not Team Chris Doring, because Florida offensive line may not be vintage Florida offensive line, but from the outside looking in, I will defer to him. He obviously knows that team better than me, but I am surprised to hear that he thinks the O-line is the weakness of that team.
Yeah, it's not. He just said it wasn't that, it wasn't that good, and it is a weakness. But hey, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Swain Event. We'll take our first break of the day. Be right back.
You're listening to the Swain Event.
You don't say.
Fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
Good morning, Swain Event family. Jennifer Morris here with Keller Williams Realty. Thank goodness it's football time in Tennessee. When the Vols do well, Knoxville does too. There are so many great reasons to fall in love with East Tennessee, and if you're making a move to the area, I'd love to help you find your new home. Just give me a call at 865-694-5904 or check out my website at nextmovesmokymountains.com. That's nextmovesmokymountains.com, and go Vols.
Fellas, there's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and go to a provider that you can trust. I recommend Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked. At Low T Center, they make it quick and easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed weight gain, loss of muscle mass, you may have low T levels. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. When you are craving some quality barbecue, there's only one place to go: Dead End Barbecue. Dead End Barbecue has been featured on ESPN's Taste of the Town, the first barbecue restaurant on the SEC Network, CBS Sports, Headline News Tailgate Show, Amazon Prime's The Restaurant Comeback, Food Paradise, and named one of the top 100 barbecue restaurants in America. The search is over. Dead End Barbecue is located on 3621 Sutherland Avenue right here in Knoxville. You can even have it delivered right to your door through Chow Now. Visit their website at deadendbbq.com. Dead End Barbecue. The search is over.
Chevy truck season at Beatty Chevrolet means save on a new 24 Chevy Silverado 1500. Now $10,000 off MSRP. Plus 1.9% APR financing. Plus no payments for 90 days at Beatty Chevrolet in Knoxville.
Just because you can't call in doesn't mean that you have to sit on the sideline. Impact the show with a text box. It's part of the free Swain Event app.
All right, welcome back. Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Ben McKee, Go Vols 247. I'm Jason Swain. Let's hit up the Beatty Chevrolet text box. It's Checker kneeling. It's Gator Week.
And it's going to be under the light. How many Checker kneelings have been under the lights? Is this the first one under the lights?
I do not know the answer off the top of my head.
I know some have finished under the lights, but from start to finish under the lights, somebody on the text box help me out. I don't think that I'm forgetting one under the lights. I think this is the first one.
Chip Payne, why was the offense surprised at the type of defense Arkansas was running? The tape is out on Tennessee. That's the offense's kryptonite. Every team we play will use some sort of 3-3-5 defense. Good question.
Well, Swain, let me play contrarian. Is it okay to be surprised by something you have not seen a team do on film?
Sam Pittman said on Monday or the week of the game that he was going to do some things that Oklahoma did in the game.
I'm simply asking that specific question. I'm not saying that there aren't other limbs to it, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever if a team is surprised when they haven't seen that team do something all year.
There's no excuse for you to be surprised by Tennessee playing odd fronts. And like you had a bye week. You had a bye week to work on what Oklahoma did and to work on what you potentially may see. Like at the end of the day, like it's football. It's not like a bunch of top secret stuff you can do to confuse a group of linemen that have been playing football for 5 years. So it's really a lose-lose situation here, Ben. If you say we were not prepared for what we saw, then the question is, well, why didn't you make in-game adjustments?
That's my biggest issue. That's what I would.
So
that's my bigger gripe is that they were slow to make the adjustments rather than quote unquote being surprised by something they haven't seen Arkansas do on film all year. To me, it's like, okay, like I can understand being a little thrown off by that. You haven't seen Arkansas do it, but you see teams do this to you all the time. So why are you slower to make adjustments when it's something that you have had to deal with periodically?
Ben, 3 teams have given us odd looks up front. So it's not a good look to continue to say how surprised you were. I'm not saying that was said, but it's not a good excuse.
Essentially what was said.
Yeah, it's not a good excuse. You can't week by week say how surprised you were.
Yeah.
Because then you start to say,
if
because then you ask
Florida hasn't put it on film all year this year, and they come out in the first series or two, I don't want to hear the whole we didn't see.
It don't matter about what Florida put on film. Florida hasn't played at Tennessee yet. So Florida is going to game plan for Tennessee. Florida's not going to do to Central Florida or Miami what they're doing to Tennessee, because Tennessee presents different problems than those other teams. So it doesn't matter if you put it on film. What matters is you couldn't generate offense versus Oklahoma. Sam Pittman said that he was going to do some things that Oklahoma did successfully against Tennessee. You had a whole bye week to address those things, fix those things. You couldn't score 20 points against Arkansas. So what do you think is about to happen? That's like looking at the weather report and it says rain is coming, and then you're surprised that it's raining. Like, you have to expect Florida's going to do some of those things that NC State did, Oklahoma did, and Arkansas did. And if you caught off guard and you sit here and talk about how surprised you are, it's going to be a bad look. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. That's what I was saying, that I don't want to hear that excuse on Saturday night after the game that, we were caught off guard because we hadn't seen Florida do it on film all year. At this point, you should expect teams to try and do what the previous teams have done.
Yeah, especially if they're having success against you, they're going to do the same things. So you better be expecting it. Sean P. says Checker Nealon was at night versus Ole Miss in 2021.
The mustard bottle game. Brian Hunsucker said the Oklahoma game started at dusk and majority was under the lights. I guess the 2015 game. So
okay.
Not the first time. Ben was wrong per usual.
Neil Mafia says good news. Nico will now be here 3 years. He was going to be here 3 years anyways. Where was he going to go?
I think he's saying like an extra third year. I think he actually means like he'll be here for 4 years, 3 years of playing.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, because if all goes according to plan and he plays to the level that he should play at next season, then he's gone after next year.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Von Birmingham, when we signed Nico, why didn't we go buy NFL type O-line to protect him? You thought you did. I mean, all these guys on the offensive line, they'll have a chance to make an NFL team. But you pay a lot of these guys to come back. Like, there's not anybody on the offensive line that's not getting paid. Some's getting paid a lot. So you thought you paid the right guys to protect your quarterback. Always Vols says, have we heard anything with Brew on his catching with the new brace? No. He'll be okay. Like, a lot of people didn't even know he had issues until he went out in the Arkansas game. He actually got hurt in the OU game.
Did you ever have to catch footballs in a game in the manner in which Brew is going to have to going forward?
I dislocated my pinky and had to wear a brace, and still cricket to this day. I mean, and the pinky is the first finger that the ball hits, and you tape it together and you roll with it. Now with Brew, It's more of his hand, I want to say. And it's going to hurt. But it's not like you're getting 50 balls thrown to you. I mean, you catch the ball, you say, ouch, you tuck it, and you run like hell. And
does it make it more difficult to catch the football, or is it just a pain tolerance thing?
Absolutely. Yep. Anytime your hand or finger hurts, it makes it more difficult because it's something that you're thinking about. Yeah, it makes it more difficult, 100%. So, on passes where he has to use his hands, because a lot of passes you can use, your arm, you can arm catch it, you can body catch it, but on passes that you definitely have to use your hands, it may be an issue, but it may not be. But he'll be okay, man. Bruiser Warrior. Neil and Mafia wants to know if, Ben, you can tell him anything good about baseball or basketball. Does Hoops have the ability to win the SEC again? Which baseball transfer is having the biggest effect so far?
Yes, basketball does have the chance to win the SEC again. They have the talent to go win the SEC. They have the talent to go make their first Final Four, and I'll say that they have the ability to go win a national championship. I really do. I think they check all the boxes of experience, depth, versatility. You have the best point guard in the country, Zakai Ziegler, leading the way. I think they have the culture. I think they have the leadership. Hot take. I think they have the coaching as well. So it'll just boil down to whether or not they execute in March. And then with baseball, Liam Doyle's been the one with the most pizzazz to him. The pitcher, the lefty who transferred from Ole Miss. His stuff is really, really good. Fastball, I watched him pitch on Saturday morning prior to the Arkansas game, and he was taking it to Tennessee's hitters. They did not have an answer for him, and his personality, more of the vintage 2022 type Vols to where it almost airs on the side of a little too much cockiness and arrogance at times, but he has elite stuff. He should, under Frank Anderson, be a high draft pick following this upcoming season, especially from the left side. So he's been really good the two times that I've seen him pitch so far early on in the fall. But he also has that passion and energy and pizzazz on the mound that he pitches with that Tony Vitello loves from a Friday night game one type of starter to kind of set the tone for the weekend.
Pizzazz is such a cool word. All right, let's get to the phones. Good morning.
What's going on, Wayno?
What's up, Buck Nasty?
Well, not a lot. I'd like to say that I'm praying for all those affected by Hurricane Milton yesterday down there in Tampa. It's a bad deal going on for them folks. I hope all is well and all their families fine and their pets made it out okay. Everybody's doing well. With that being said, I ain't praying for the Florida Gators for when they come to Knoxville Saturday night under the greatest Coliseum lights in all of college football to take on our boys. Now, our boys, they've been a lot of hype around them. They've been a lot of hype on the QB. They've been a lot of hype on the receivers. They've been a lot of hype on the D-line. You boys want to cement your place in UT Vol history where you're a household name. People name their children after you, their pets after you, things like that. This is the game you show up to. Mm-hmm. This is the game where you have the Juwan Jennings running down the sideline after hearing Tease Tabor talk trash all week and burnt him like toast. This is a game like when Derek Barnett took over the second half on the defensive line and just wreaked havoc on Florida that year. This is the game where when Dylan Sampson scores, you do the damn Gator chomp and you tell them to go set their asses down and like it because you're in our house tonight. So these boys want to show up. They want to make us money. They want to do this. They want to do that. They want to be recognized. Nico want to win the Heisman. This is the game that you come up and you slap somebody in the mouth and you make them like it and you tell them you don't give a damn where they're from or what they about or what clique they're setting or repping or whatever it is, and you go out there and you whip that ass for 4 quarters, boys, I'll hang up and listen to what you got to say.
I don't have anything to say to that. Outside of, I agree. This is the game that you can cement your legacy. There's a beautiful young lady by the name of Jennings, lives in South Carolina, daughter of Casey. And she was named after Jawan Jennings. Why? Because Jawan Jennings making plays against Florida. Not NC State, not UT Martin, not UTC or Kent State. It's about games like this. But Nancy, 100%, he's 100% correct. 100% correct. Big-time players make big plays in big games. Henry Hooker introduced himself to college football in this game 2 years ago. I watched him do the interview, I want to say with CBS. The man barely could walk off the football field. He was so beat up. But he balled out, man. He balled out in that game. And I expect our big-time players to do that. I expect Dylan Sampson to do that. Like, I know what I'm going to get from Dylan Sampson. I know what I'm going to get from him.
Well, the problem is there are others that affect how Dylan performs. And hopefully they can have a nice bounce back from this past weekend. I kind of mentioned it earlier. A lot of talk about the tackles this week, and rightfully so. But I don't know that the interior played poorly, but I also don't know that they played it's obvious they did not play well enough because, like I mentioned, Ball and Gregory there for Arkansas were doing a great job of eating up blocks and really allowing that 3-2-6 defense to work, because with them taking up blocks in the gaps and whatnot, allowed the linebackers and one of the linebackers from Jackson State to kind of run free and play a hybrid. He was a linebacker at Jackson State, but this past Saturday against Tennessee kind of played a hybrid of a linebacker and middle of the field safety. And because the big boys up front were eating up space, it kind of allowed him and the other linebackers as well to run free and make plays against the running game outside of those first couple of possessions of the third quarter when they were able to slow down Tennessee's running game. So the interior this week, like I mentioned, is going to have a strong week to help Dylan Sampson out. I think Dylan has a big game. Florida struggled to stop the run this season prior to UCF, and UCF's rushing numbers looked really, really good entering that game. They were one of the best rushing attacks in the country, and Florida shut them down for the most part. And this is the same Florida defensive line that whooped up on Tennessee in the swamp last year. So it's imperative that the interior as well as the tackles have a strong game and help Dylan do exactly what we all expect Dylan to do, because I think that if Tennessee's offensive front plays well, Swain, I think Tennessee blows out Florida this weekend, this Saturday night. If it's a repeat of last week and last year against this Gators defensive line, then it's going to come down to the wire and who executes in the fourth quarter and in their 2-minute offense at the end of the game. So hopefully the offensive front can help Dylan Sampson out, because I know what Dylan Sampson is going to provide me, but unfortunately he has others impacting his performance as well.
Well, the blocking hasn't been necessarily great the last 2 games, and Dylan Sampson still balled out.
Yes, but yes, he has, but the running game overall has not had the consistency from start to finish that you would like to have.
Yeah, I'm just talking about Dylan Sampson. I mean, the running game hasn't been where it needs to be, but even with the inconsistent play up front, Dylan Sampson has still found a way. And so I know what I'm going to get from him. We do feel like if the offensive line is better, then the group as a whole will be better. Deshaun Bishop will be better. It's going to positively affect our passing game as well. This month, it is treats and no tricks with my friends at Hiller. During their Spooky Good Fall giveaway, get a free Blackstone griddle, solo stove, or Yeti Tundra cooler with select home upgrades. Or you can enjoy specials like a $99 HVAC tune-up. Visit the website, happyhiller.com, for all of the details. Beatty Chevrolet text box. Do you guys think we will see Sampson in a passing game with the offensive line playing poorly? Well, I mean, usually you have a running back helping the offensive line. If you make him part of the passing game as far as another receiver, then he's not helping protect. You could have 12 personnel and have only 3 receivers go out, and have one tight end stay in and block to help with pass protection. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, and it's the coach staff job to figure it out. They got to figure it out.
Are you surprised, aside from the pass protection that you just mentioned, which is obviously a very fair and correct point, but are you surprised, aside from that Dylan Sampson specifically has not been used more in the passing game?
No, I'm not surprised because he has to help to protect.
You think it's that just cut and dry?
I think it's that cut and dry.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. I don't think in-helmet communications caused the issues for Nico. I never thought the in-helmet communication was going to be a big deal anyways. And it's certainly not going to cause any issues for Nico. And so the communication from the coaches to the quarterback is not necessarily the play. It's just quick little reminders like, hey, it's third down in this, or don't do this, or it's just quick reminders. It's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal. Nico's issues mainly stem from not having time. And then from there, there's other issues that branch out that are on Nico, that are on the receivers, that are on the running backs. But if he had time, then I think a lot of these issues would not be mentioned. I hope the defense is ready for a trick play with Mertz and Lagway on the field at the same time. Got to look prepared. Better throw some of them 50 short screen passes to Sampson instead of Squirrel then. Well, you can't line him up out there because then there's no threat of him running the football. So, I mean, you can motion him out there, but the only person that can run the football is the quarterback. So, I mean, you can do that in quarterback draws, but how many times you want to really run Nico? So, there's other guys that can run that screen, that can catch it and do what Squirrel, does. I mean, you got other guys who can catch a screen pass and get upfield. Big Orange 123. Are we a playoff team? Not today. Not today. The next 2 weeks, I think, will determine that, but not today. I'm disappointed with the portion of the fan base that is selling Nico for 4 of his 6 starts have been on the road. This team will adjust with having that Big Orange juice behind them this week. GBO. It's actually been pretty embarrassing, honestly. There's some show hosts out there that they're doing the same thing and really just kind of exposing their lack of knowledge.
Really?
It's pretty embarrassing. Ooh. So, I mean, no one with any credibility with scouting, football coaches have questioned Nico's skill set and his ability. It's dudes that have a mic in their face, haven't played, and it's getting sucked up by the message boards and social media because you're playing to them. So people on social media and message boards, they're saying off-the-cuff stuff, ignorant stuff. So you're going to play to them and regurgitate some of that same foolishness. That's what's going on.
The former players, former quarterbacks that I have listened to this week discuss Nico's performance at Arkansas and Tennessee's offensive performance, those with legitimate credibility who played have all chalked it up to, like, yeah, he played poorly and missed some throws and it was not good, but it was more of just the inexperience rearing its ugly head more than anything, in addition to the lack of protection up up front. So those who know ball, that's what they're saying. They are not out on Nico whatsoever. They to them, they communicated it as like a reality check of like a reminder of like, this is still a young, inexperienced quarterback who is going to go through some growing pains.
Everyone goes through them. I mean, look at all the top quarterbacks right now in college football. You think they hit the scene playing like they're playing right now as a true freshman? No. Or a first-time starter? No. That's rare.
I mean, even Arch, I forget exactly who they played.
They haven't played anybody.
Huh?
I said Texas with Arch at quarterback has not played anybody.
No, but my point that I was going to say is that, like, even in the game, I'm forgetting the opponent, something State, forgetting who his first start was against. But even early in that game, Arch had like an awful interception and like was struggling to get it going in the first half, and it took him a while to get going. So like it's common in terms of the big picture text box message we got, Swain. It's more reflective of us as sports fans, really. I mean, you look anywhere in college football, any school that had an ugly loss. I mean, Alabama fans are complaining about what their coach is wearing. Every fan base, unfortunately, reacts like this after a loss. It doesn't matter how successful your program has been. One loss and the sky is falling for everybody in college football.
As great as Hendon was in 2021 and 2022, remember, he was cast aside by Virginia Tech. He wasn't the same Hendon as a first-time starter. Like I expect, that from emotional fan. I expect more and better from dudes that have a microphone. I expect more. That's all. The cupcake games help or hurt Nico's development? I don't think it really matters. He would have played a tough game to start the season. He would have had those mistakes early. I mean, he had mistakes in the cupcake games.
They just weren't as glaring as they were in tight games against Oklahoma and Arkansas. I was thinking of Louisiana.
This ain't all about Nico though. Like we have to check ourselves. The quarterback is the most popular position in sports, but football is the ultimate team game, and we get so fixated on the quarterback, and the quarterback gets too much blame when you lose and too much praise when you win. Like I would be playing, and I would be like, "Yo, okay, the quarterback did a good job, but it was this person, it was this group that actually made it happen." But that's just the way it is. And so, like, can't get caught up on Nico. Yes, he's a quarterback. Yes, he's important. Yes, he has to play better. But play calling got to be better. Offensive line play got to be better. Like, the penalties got to be better. The dumb mistakes defensively and special teams have to be better. Like, it ain't all about Nico. Sorry, Ben.
I was thinking of Louisiana Monroe with Arch. Completed 50% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, freshman. It happens. It happens. You got Tennessee winning, right?
Yes, we'll have our final score predictions. Our firm, I'm like 90% settled on my score prediction. Somebody on our site at GoVols 24/7 asked me last night in my Wednesday night chat that I like to do with the good people, and I think I said 27-13 Tennessee. I think I think it'll be a rough go at times for the offense, but I think Tennessee defense holds Florida in check, and I think Tennessee's offense is better than what we've seen the past 2 games. I don't know that it's the typical elite Josh Heupel offense, but I think it's probably somewhere in between. So I think you'll maybe have a couple of frustrating moments, but a couple of fruitful moments as well. And I kind of think we'll see Josh Heupel get back to his roots of being himself in terms of the tempo and play calling and things of that nature. I think he's gotten too conservative the last couple of weeks trying to lean on this defense, which is great and perfectly fine, but I do think it reared its ugly head against Arkansas at the end and kind of bit him in the butt a little bit. And I think he'll try and get back to his roots and not be as conservative as he was there against Arkansas.
Yeah, I don't think the tempo will be like they different. I do think Josh Heupel's creativity will be better in this game. I just don't see how you can have the same tempo with some of the same issues that you have without putting the defense in a bad spot. So I don't think the tempo will change dramatically. There may be some times here and there where you may go faster than others, but I don't anticipate the tempo changing. But I do expect Josh Heupel to be more creative in play design, play calling, be more aggressive at times because you have the crowd behind you. Like, it's one thing to be on the road in a hostile environment with a young quarterback, but now you're at home. He's going to be more comfortable with that environment, so I expect us to be a little bit more aggressive. It wasn't too long ago when we had those 40, 50-point score predictions being man. Yeah, this is TJ from Johnson City. I got Tennessee 53, the opponent -7. Man,
those days are over.
We're not hearing that right now.
No. We might be back on that train if Tennessee wins these next 2 football games in Kentucky coming to town.
Yeah, man. The team can get to 30, they'll win. They'll win because both offenses hasn't necessarily lit the world on fire in conference play. So defense, special teams, it's going to be very, very important on Saturday. And then Tuesday, we will be back to discuss here in the program. Running a little short today. Went over on Tuesday because Thursday had to go a little short because some obligations. And so we will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully, Ben McKee talking about a big orange win. We need one bad.
Absolutely. Tennessee absolutely needs one bad in the 30 or so minutes in which you would normally be listening to the Swain event. I encourage you to reach out to Jennifer Morris of Keller Williams Realty instead. And instead of spending the next 30 minutes with us while Swain and goes and fulfills prior obligations, why don't you go spend some time with Jennifer Morris and communicating with her, reaching out to her, because she can take care of all of your real estate needs. She is the absolute best here in the Knoxville area. She'll take care of you and your family in more ways than you know. How genuine she is and how personable she is what separates her from the rest of the realtors around here who only care about putting money in their pocket. So please, for all of your real estate needs, reach out to Jennifer Morris of Keller Williams Realty.
For Ben McKee, I'm Jason Swain. Swain Events, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Also, ladies and gentlemen, homeowner, you're dealing with wildlife issues, make sure you hit up Alpha Wildlife. Skunks, raccoons, bats, birds, snakes, possums, whatever you have going on, make sure you go to alphawildlife.com. Several locations to serve you in Tennessee and in the Carolinas. Peace and much love. We are out. Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue.